Hey everyone! So today we're going to be exploring the Shizuoka Hobby Show in Shizuoka, Japan. Let's check it out. So the Shizuoka Hobby Show is the largest trade show in the world focusing on scale and plastic models. It's about 2 hours from Tokyo on the Shinkansen, and they had so many new products and amazing artist work on display. So yeah, let's get right into it. So like I said, I took the Shinkansen from Tokyo, and it was a really beautiful train ride. You can see Mount Fuji on one side and you can see the ocean on another, and you'll arrive in Shizuoka Station. And it's really a cute little city, but what stood out to me at first was they've got these signs that are designed like runners everywhere in the city. So like payphones, obviously different signs here, the front sign of my hotel, even the directions to the different rooms in my hotel, as well as the hotel lobby had some gunpla and some car models. So the city has really leaned into being the headquarters of Tamiya. They have their HQ here, as well as obviously they host the Shizuoka Hobby Show, and they just have a ton of model shops and other things like that in the city. So of course, right here at the main entrance, you've got your classic Shizuoka Model City sign on the runners, as well as the welcome. And we are at the Twin Mess Shizuoka Convention Center. You can see they've got a bunch of different vehicles. They've got a monster truck, and they've got this display by the Japan Defense Force of a bunch of different trucks and tanks, and they even had like a little raft right here. So it was pretty interesting walking through past tanks and all that stuff. And then you'll see this woman dressed as an anime character, and she is pointing people over to the main entrance. So we walk down this hallway here, and then you go around a bend and through the admission area, and then I entered the first hall. So this was primarily the vendor hall. There were 2 halls about the same size, one focused on vendors and one focused on artists displaying their work and finished models and things like that. So starting off with the vendors, the first thing that caught my eye was this Bomberman display, and I was over the moon. This is literally like the first thing you'll see when you get in there, and I had no idea anyone was working on Bomberman model kits. I'm a huge Bomberman fan, and they've got these little Bomberman figures to go with it, and I don't know, I'm just so excited about these. I'll definitely be picking them up when they go on sale. Next, we had the Bandai Namco booth. So we're going to show that a little bit later because they had a crazy line, and I had to try to get in like 4 or 5 times, and they kept saying nobody else can be allowed in, so we'll do that later. Here we have Woody Joe. They are a wooden-based model kit company, and they make a lot of scale models of Japanese castles and different types of architecture. And we had the Volks booth here. Unfortunately, they did not allow filming inside the booth. As you'll see here, some companies like Tamiya are totally cool with filming, and others like Volks and Bandai absolutely will not let anybody film the model kit. So we're going to transition to some photos here, but you can see they had a few different prototype model kits on display. I thought these 2, particularly from 5 Star Stories, were super interesting looking, just very, very unique, especially the one on the left. I've never seen a mecha that looks anything like that. It's just really cool and unique, and that's kind of what I love about 5 Star Stories. So moving on here, we had this other vendor. I'm sorry, I forget their name. I think it's Flame Toys, and they had these cool frog mechs on display, which I had never seen before, and I just thought they were really cute and unique. And the sculpts and everything looked quite good too, so just wanted to highlight that for a minute. And they had a few other odds and ends and different dioramas. And then, of course, we have Hobby Japan here celebrating their 55th anniversary. And I am a huge fan of Hobby Japan, as you guys probably know. And they had these Hobby Japan option parts, which are cool and pretty uncommon, as well as some t-shirts, which I definitely considered buying, but ultimately decided against. And what was new to me was I had no idea Hobby Japan made their own model kits. Did you guys know that? If you did, leave a comment letting me know. But yeah, they had a wide variety of different franchises and everything. It was really a nice little surprise. And yeah, they even had these Gal Gaigar kits. So I had only been familiar with the Bandai Gal Gaigar kits, and maybe a few other companies in the past had made some vintage ones, but I had no idea that Hobby Japan was making modern ones. Then they had these SD style kits here showing parts, detail frame parts that you could add to modify your kit. And moving along here, showing just some different modeler's option parts. All of those detail parts and these little SD Votoms, which are super cute. And then Hobby Japan paints, which I think I had been aware of, but I had never really seen them in a display like this. And I think it's just cool to see different companies of different sizes making different option parts and paints and things like that. It's nice to have more competition. Here they had a car in the middle of the showroom that a bunch of people seemed pretty excited about. And model graphics, just like Hobby Japan, I'm a huge fan of model graphics. Unfortunately, their booth didn't really have anything that really stood out to me as something I had to buy, but it was nice to see them present at the show. Okay, so moving on to Hasegawa, they had mostly car model kits, which I'm not particularly knowledgeable or super interested in, but they did have some mecha that was cool. They had these Mechatro model display cases with all these little mini dioramas of their Mechatro model kits, which were really creative. They had lots of fun different concepts in here, and the display actually was two-sided, so on the other side they had even more of them, and I'm just highlighting a few here that really stood out to me. You can see here just a ton of these little dioramas, and this one was probably my favorite, this Votom style diorama, which I thought was really well executed. Moving on, of course, Hasegawa makes some Macross kits, and they had a wide variety here, as well as a few new prototype designs, which we'll get to in a second, but this was their main display. And here we had some Super Defense Macross model kits, which had a ton of surface detail that I was a big fan of. And then moving on, we had a few more fighter jets here. And then finally, the new prototype kit. I'm a big fan of this one on the left, that blue one. It has a really interesting organic feel that you don't always see in a ton of Macross kits, but I just thought it was so cool. And of course, they've got the breakdown of all the runners. Moving on to Bellfine, this is a really small model kit company I had not heard of before. They had a few interesting kits on display, some different spaceships, and a couple of mecha. It was just nice to see a small company at the show. And then Kotobukiya, they are not a small company. They had a massive booth, I think the second largest next to Bandai. Thankfully, they did allow filming, and they had so much stuff, a lot of which I wasn't familiar with, so I'll apologize in advance. But frame arms here, showing some different kits. And again, because I'm not familiar, I'm not sure what's new and what's older, unless it's a gray prototype unit, which obviously those are going to be new kits. I thought this little scorpion guy was kind of interesting. And then they had some Tamiya 2 models. Those are those guys in the front, the little round ones, as well as some super deformed style Votoms in the back there. I believe Kotobukiya calls that their D series, but it's essentially the same as Bandai's SD series, and a bunch more varieties of the D series Votoms kits, as well as some Mega Man kits, including some new prototypes. These are really nice. I think usually I don't like a lot of figures kits because they tend to look very toy-like, but these ones I actually think are designed in a way that you could really paint them up and maybe put them in a diorama, and I think they would look really good. Moving on, they had this photo booth that they're selling, which has these swappable back plates that have different patterns and designs for you to photograph your kits in front of, and some hexagear here. This one with these blue, I guess, wings or bursts coming out looked really cool, as well as this bird looked really interesting. And of course, the moment everybody's been waiting for, the new Armored Core kits from Kotobukiya. These kits looked absolutely jaw-dropping. The detail was phenomenal. In many ways, they almost reminded me of resin kits in terms of how much surface detail there was. Very impressive stuff. And it's really kind of a little tricky to tell when, they're this gray or beige color, but they look really great, especially this one here. Oh, so cool. it's nice seeing them. They look straight out of the game. And it was a cool display too, having them on that moving blue screen with footage of the game in the back. Just a really nice display overall, but I'm definitely going to have to pick up one of these kits. They look absolutely fantastic, you guys. And they had this gold one here. Little unique piece. And then they had these kits. This is a different Armored Core series called Structure Arts. I would compare it to something like the Gundam Converge series. Not quite as small as Gundam Artifact, but much smaller than a regular model kit. And these looked really cool too. And then this model kit stood out as well. I believe it's from Seven Deadly Sins. And we also had some additional kits here from the Frame Arms Girl series, which I know next to nothing about. So again, apologies guys. We can see a new prototype here. Looking good. As well as another prototype here. This one I actually really liked a lot. I'm a big fan of that asymmetrical design. A few more prototypes and a really nice looking bike. And some Megami Device here with a new prototype that's looking super intricate and ornate. I'm a fan of that style. Kind of like a, I don't know, like a sorceress or a mage style with that book there. Really cool. And a few more kits. And this series I had never heard of before, but that kit with the wings there really stood out to me. It's Arca Nadea, I believe how you pronounce it, and the sculpt on those wings was fantastic. I immediately started thinking about putting them on something else. Really cool design. And you had the Mr. Hobby booth where they were doing some demonstrations, showing different airbrushing techniques for different products that they were offering. It was kind of fun. There were a bunch of people lined up watching that. And then, of course, they were showing off their different colors, including some new colors. And here they had some examples of their Super Metallic 2 series. I'm not really sold on the gold, but that silver looked really, really nice. That kind of, it's not quite platinum, but it's just very metallic. Here we had some series-specific colors, offering some Gundam Seed, as well as some 30-Minute Sisters-specific colors. And then they also had their airbrushes and their booths and just some different auxiliary products like their glues and cements. But what really stood out to me were these little spoons that actually come on a runner. And I thought they'd be a really nice way of measuring paint mixing. And I thought these were fun, these little vending machine model kits. Next up, you have these Front Mission kits, as well as a couple of dioramas. I'm a big fan of the Front Mission series. I think it's a really cool series everyone should check out, and it's nice to see some model kits in that series. They're not too common. And then above that, we also had Armored Core Structure Arts. So it was interesting that the Armored Core Structure Arts were in a few different areas, not just the Kotobukiya booth. And I believe this is a Front Mission diorama, which is amazingly detailed and looks really, really great. Very cool diorama. And the Armored Core kits were, some of them were painted up as well, and they looked pretty cool, but this diorama is, yeah, really where it's at. This, I don't know what this is. I just wanted to capture it because what is going on here? And then they had some cute SD fighter jets. I've become a big fan lately of the SD fighter jets and tanks. I think it's just a really unique and cute style. Some Evangelion kits here of various sizes and types. And my favorite was this one back here that comes on the base. I just always love it when a model kit comes with a nice display base setup to really complete the package. And they also had this Hobby Studio, which is like a modular desk for building model kits. That was cool. And next up we have some Minions model kits. The fun thing here is that they kind of had the breakdown of all the runners and all of the detail like all the other model kits, which I thought was kind of humorous just considering the audience that these are aimed at. I don't know if they're really interested in that kind of thing, but hey, maybe, I don't know. I just thought it was an interesting novelty. And then I took a little break upstairs to have some food and something to drink. And yeah, just rest for a few because I was doing a ton of walking. This show is massive. This is half the convention center. Then there's another half the same size. And then there's a third section that's maybe about a third. So it's a really, really big show. And then finally, we are at the Bandai booth. After trying many times throughout the day, I was finally able to get on the line and get inside. Again, I could not film inside the booth, but I could film outside. And there was a lot of waiting on lines, as you guys are going to see. It was line after line, different sections of the line. But overall, it was worth it, and I'm excited to be able to share these photos with you. I also got to see those World Winners from GBWC. They looked amazing in person. And you can see here, the booth was just absolutely huge and packed with people. Basically what they were doing is a system where they would kind of funnel in a crowd of people and let them in there for like a half an hour and then kind of flush them out and let a new crowd in. Here there was a Linkle Planet Live YouTube show. I believe that's like Bandai's idol group that does a lot of plastic model events. And then, yeah, just starting off, there was this bonsai tree model kit, which was really interesting. There was some Ryujin Maru kits, which were cool. I really liked this little guy here. Thought he looked cool. And then you had a bunch of the robot Damashi figures. This green Dunbine stood out to me, as well as this Elgheim 40th anniversary. Ton of Votom's kits. That was one of the big things I saw at the whole show in general. Just Votom's was everywhere over the hobby show this year. Then you had some 30 Minutes Fantasy. A few different cool prototype kits here. Really liked this one. As well as this one, especially the pose. Very nice posing here. And of course, Armored Core. Although unfortunately, you don't get model kits from Bandai for Armored Core. You get the Robot Damashi figures. So for the figure fans, that's going to be cool. But since I'm more of a model kit person, I'm definitely more excited about the Kotobukiya offerings. But these did look detailed and pretty cool. Then you had a few more 30 Minutes displays. And some signage talking about the Gundam Next Future Pavilion that they're going to build in Osaka. And of course, one of the big kits of this show, the RX-78 Revive kit, the original 1980 Gunpla kit having a remake. Very, very cool. It was nice seeing it in person. I think the wonky proportions are going to be really fun to work with. I'm very excited about this kit. I think it's going to be a fun little build. And of course, the Real Grade 2.0, a very exciting kit. I know a lot of people are looking forward to this. I'm most excited about that Gundam hammer, but the frame looks cool as well. And some master grades. I know you've got the Sinanju here as well as the Unicorn. I have to say I was a little disappointed in how that Heat Hawk looked on the weapons display, but overall I think really cool breakout design, the way they were showing the parts separation there. And of course, another really big kit of the show, the Master Grade SD Wing Gundam. I haven't been super into the MG SD line so far because I think it strays a bit away from really looking super deformed. But this kit was very impressive and really did look nice, especially the wing design. Big fan of how that's looking. Some Gundam Breaker kits, as well as some Bandai EcoPlot, as well as the Limax kits, the Gunpla Kun there. And then my most anticipated kit of the Bandai booth, the Psycho Gundam Mark II. This kit is huge. The detail is amazing. This is like a must paint kit for me, you guys. I'm just such a big fan of these giant kits like, Psycho Gundam, all that stuff. And yeah, this is going to be awesome to work on. And the Gundam Requiem for Vengeance models, these are very divisive. I know a lot of people, I've shown photos and they're not a fan. I have to say I don't know where I stand just yet. I think they definitely look interesting. It's nice to see Bandai taking a chance, but I don't know if they really delivered on this one. And the Zagok, this is a cool little design as well. It's basically just a Zagok with this little jetpack, but it's looking good. And then you had a couple of additional kits from the Seed series, some of which were giant and really interesting looking. I liked this guy here, as well as the wings on it in flight mode, I guess. It looked pretty cool. As well as the Akatsuki Gundam, which is looking very, very golden and shiny. And yeah, that's going to do it for the Bandai booth. Next up, we've got Tamiya, and again, they let you film, which is great. It was really only Volks and Bandai that were against filming at this show. So they had this nice little display with a motorcycle and these different kits in motion. They had this racing duck and car. And then they had a scale model of the Tamiya warehouse, which was fun and interesting. It was actually giant. I don't know if this video does it justice, but it was very, very big. And then they had these Q's Factory, I guess, I don't know if technically they are Choro Q or not, but they're Choro Q style, just like little chibi cars, and I thought those dioramas were really cute. And then we're over to the Max Factory / Goodsmile booth, a really amazing booth. I loved this giant figure here on display, and a lot of really cool kits at this booth. They had some Orgus, which kind of blew my mind. I didn't know anybody was doing modern Orgus kits, but there you go, some modern Orgus stuff. A very old school mecha series. And then we had various different kits here. What I wanted to call out was this Godzilla kit. It had some of the most detailed runners I've ever seen. The texture on them was just really incredible. Yeah, here I've got a little close-up of it. You can just see just tons and tons of detail here. And then we had more Votoms. Again, like I said, Votoms and Armored Core were like the two big takeaways from this show. Everybody's got Votoms kits. Everybody's got Armored Core kits. These ones were looking really, really great though. And just showing some of the painted kits. I like this one second from the left. It's got a nice little weathering job on it. And then this Dugram really impressed me. Just the scale, the size, and what I liked, and I wish Bandai would do more, or just other companies, is they had a snapped up model and a painted model side by side, so you could really see how it looks out the box and then how it looks if you give it some TLC. I thought it was really cool that they had that on the show floor. And then this 3-0 display with some Patlabor kits. These kits were looking really nice. I think especially the vests on this set here had a lot of nice detail in them. Some more Votoms kits. Again, there's so many Votoms kits at this show. It's kind of almost silly, but these ones had a lot of nice detail as well. Again, I think without building them firsthand, it's a little bit challenging to catch all the different nuance between the different manufacturers, but this one did have this nice cockpit opening gimmick, which was looking nice. A lot of detail inside there. And then God Hand. You can't go to a hobby show without getting your God Hand nippers. And that's exactly what they were selling. It was pretty much just a small shop selling just different God Hand supplies. Gaianotes. I know a lot of big fans of Gaianotes in the model building community. They had a bunch of different colors as well as some examples of those colors. What I liked was they had some, I guess, kind of movie style or cosplay style props as well as model kits, which is nice to see a variety of applications. And these really, really intense fluorescents. Here are just more kits built and painted using Gaianotes. Very nice looking work. And this giant, I don't know if it's 1/1 scale, maybe it's a little bit smaller than 1/1 scale. Giant Votoms helmet was very cool. You can see it next to those people there, just how huge this was. I just love seeing people get creative with this kind of scratch building. And yeah, that's gonna do it for the overall trade show side, new product side, and the rest of it is gonna be the artists area. I'm gonna do this in a separate video because I think I spent even more time in the artists area than I did in the new product area, and there was so much incredible, just jaw-dropping work here. As you can see, I was just blown away. So guys, what did you think of this video? What did you think of the Shizuoka Hobby Show 2024? What are you most excited about? I would love to hear your comments below. Yeah, just really love hearing your thoughts and opinions, especially on a big long video like this. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. If you could give this video a thumbs up and subscribe, that would be awesome. I've also introduced a new channel members option where you can become a member of the channel and then get some sneak peeks and behind the scenes stuff. So we're gonna be doing that. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.